I think that's one of the next fights here. Digital credit issuers versus the banking industry. It's such a 0-to-1 innovation that it can start to have a demand pull from checking deposits, a run on the banks. The entire team had the idea of we wanted to pay as frequently as possible. Daily dividends opens up the money market accounts, the checking accounts. It doesn't make it a money market fund. It doesn't make it money, but it makes it actually better than those things. We haven't even started paying daily dividends yet. Once those start happening, I think our ability to kind of expand the pie of what digital credit goes after explodes. There is no victory dance yet. Like, the battle has just begun.
So now let's get into why you guys are so hot right now. And it's because you are the first daily dividend company to pioneer something like this in financial markets. It takes vision, it takes guts, but also persistence to make something where there was nothing before. So who on your team was really leading this? Who had the idea and who saw it over the finish line?
So the entire team had the idea of we wanted to pay as frequently as possible. What as frequently as possible meant for a NASDAQ-listed security, it was always obvious that business days was going to be the max that was possible. Like, if you just think about if the market's closed, you obviously can't make a payment, right? And I think that will change over time. I think tokenization, markets are moving more to 23, 6, or 7 or whatever. They should be 24/7, but moving to be open more frequently. But currently, it was obviously business days, and one of our VPs really dug into this. Someone that's just not a public name, public face, but a great operational. It's been part of the Strive team since day one, and he was digging into the rules and just kept kind of coming back to, I don't think the way the NASDAQ rules are written would forbid you from announcing a bunch of dividends one day and then 10 days later or 15 days later, you're paying every business day. He's like, I just don't see as written why that wouldn't work. And so that was the thesis, and that was the thesis within Strive for a while. But no one at NASDAQ or DTCC would confirm that it was possible. It was just kind of like, who are you guys? Like, what are you trying to do? And they wouldn't say you can't do it, but it just was just kind of felt like we were asking like a wonky question, right? And so that was kind of where we were. When Strategy announced semi-monthly dividends, we were already kind of looking into this. I put out a poll on X right when Strategy announced it, should Strive go semi-monthly? Because I already knew that semi-monthly was achievable. We could have announced semi-monthly, the next Monday, but our team was just and had persistence to say, we're not ready to give up that more frequent is not possible yet. And so we just kind of went quiet. We kept hammering NASDAQ, kept hammering DTCC, and it was this game where no one would answer the question. The initial questions we would get back, or the answers we get back is, if NASDAQ would say, if DTCC says they can do it, then we can do it. And DTCC would say the opposite. If NASDAQ says they could do it, we probably could do it. But then they wouldn't talk to each other. And also what's interesting about the space is that, as the issuer Strive, we don't really have an easy ability to interact with DTCC, the transfer agent. So for us, VStock, they're the ones that interact with DTCC, and that's just the way. And historically, DTCC has been intentionally black box. They don't want to talk to the companies, so they don't want to talk to Strive. And then NASDAQ talks to the companies, so we talk to NASDAQ. And so you kind of have this square where Strive talks to the transfer agent and we talk to NASDAQ. The transfer agent talks to Strive and talks to DTCC, but they don't talk to NASDAQ. The DTCC talks to the transfer agent, they talk to NASDAQ, but they don't talk to Strive. NASDAQ talks to us and they talk to DTCC, but they don't really talk to the transfer agent. So the communication, it just became that actually was a lot of alpha to see that, because you start to see it's like, okay, there's like this box and there's no like meeting of the minds of everybody to solve a problem. And so the hardest thing was actually to get everybody to talk to each other, right? And we had to convince DTCC and NASDAQ, both us and the transfer agent, that you guys need to talk about this, right? Like, and that was the hardest thing because of how opaque these communications are. It seems like it should be an easy thing, but it was actually the hardest thing. And then when they did talk, we finally got the approval that we could do it. And then we obviously ran to implement it as soon as we felt like we could operationally do it.
And what's funny is that like they all seem hesitant at first, like NASDAQ included, but then you go and ring the bell at the NASDAQ and they jumped you in line because this is such a big deal. And it seems as if they are excited to have this be offered on their exchange. This is a first. They want to be progressive, and you guys are filling that demand for a new product. What has been like the financial world's reception of this?
Yeah. On the retail side, it's been absolute excitement. On the institutional side, I would say at the moment it's been excitement for the innovation, but it's like SATA is still equally exciting to them because they don't have daily bills. I do think on the corporate side, it will be a game changer. So like if you think about managing a corporate balance sheet that you now get paid every day, it makes it much more usable. And so, you talked about earlier about kind of what are the markets that this go after. When you think about going after real estate investors or fixed income investors, whether it's monthly, semi-monthly, daily, it's still just a better yield and kind of similar type sort of product. Daily dividends opens up really the money market accounts, the stablecoin accounts, the checking accounts. It makes digital credit, it doesn't make it a money market fund. It doesn't make it money, but it makes it actually, in my view, better than those things. And so the total addressable market just starts to expand and explode. And I think this kind of gets into, where we are in the process, because obviously we haven't even started paying daily dividends yet. They start mid-June. That once those start happening, I think our ability to kind of expand the pie of what digital credit goes after explodes. I think innovation that can happen on top of digital credit will explode. I think that there's a potential in the future that banks are going to start coming after digital credit, because you think about stablecoins and the Clarity Act. Banks pushed for stablecoins to not be able to pay a yield, right? And they were not able to pay a yield. But that was they weren't able to pay a yield. They wanted to. The bank shut it down. What digital credit is interesting is that it's working within the confines of already existing securities law, right? So it's already a legal product. It's able to pay a yield, and so there's not like, we don't have to ask permission from the banks. We don't have to negotiate with Congress, right? But it's such a 0-to-1 innovation that I think it can start to have in the future a demand pull from checking deposits, like a run on the banks type sort of scenario, right? And obviously banks won't like that, but I think that this is part of the monetary transition from fiat currencies to Bitcoin. Like, you would expect that in a failure of fiat currencies, any failure of a fiat currency always results in a run on the banks. Never know when it's going to happen, but look at any emerging market. Bitcoiners know this story, right? Like traditional finance people, in the US, they actually get kind of numb that it could never happen here. Which is kind of the apathy that you see in traditional finance in the United States sometimes, but it happens across the globe all the time, right? And so if that were to happen, I think that's one of the next fights here, is actually digital credit issuers versus the banking industry. And so I'm taking that very seriously. We're already gearing up to educate Congress on this, because, and this kind of gets into the why, there is no victory dance yet. Like, the battle has just begun for how big I think this could be. All right, and we as an industry have to stay very focused, right? Because this ultimately, as Bitcoiners know, like if we're going to transition from a US dollar fiat currency world to a Bitcoin world, that there's going to be, major fights along that battle. People are going to try to crush it. And I think this innovation is, you can't constrain something from happening. You can put regulations to try to slow it, but ultimately innovation will push through better products, which I think is what we're seeing with digital credit. Anyway, so that's just a fun prediction of where I think this will go in the coming years.
The battle ahead that you're already getting ready for. Wow. Thanks for making it to the end of the video. If you could drop a like and a share, it would help in our mission to accelerate adoption. If you're looking for more Bitcoin signal, join over 10,000 readers of our newsletter, Bitcoin News Weekly. Every Monday morning, we send out the biggest headlines of Bitcoin to keep you in the know in under 5 minutes. Links below in the description. Then come hang with us live every Monday at 11 a.m. Eastern. We break it all down live on stream with a new guest, and you can add your 2 sats in the chat. See you next week.